the idea, as you've probably already guessed, is when I lift up on this T-bar, it pulls the pin out of the hole in the back, and then the seat can be rocked back and forth. And then it locks back down into place. Now this is the most forward tilting position it'll go. There's 8 positions. That is the most reclined. And that's about level. Noisy, isn't it? Now you have to remember it was sitting on that metal welding table, and the sound was being amplified something fierce. I don't think it's going to sound like that once it's up in the living room. I hope. Now there's probably 3 or 4 places where I ran into problems. And first one was this piece here. I thought that it was going to be resting on here. But I guess I must have made this piece too long, so I had to make a little extension up the back here. Anyway, I got extra practice welding. Another place I had a problem was, the idea is that when it comes up, this little pin right here is welded on, and it's supposed to catch on here to keep the thing from tilting all the way completely forward and dump me on the floor. And I originally had welded this piece in here, and then when I went to lower it, I found out that this was banging onto it, and I had to grind it off. Then I rewelded it back a little bit. Well, it turns out that gave me another problem. I had to grind it off again. So now it's where it is, and that's okay. Another thing was that right here, it was rubbing against this piece right here. When I had welded these guides in place, I guess I didn't practice ahead of time to make sure it was going to be alright. So I had to sand this down, which was no problem. But I don't know why I keep telling you guys all my mistakes here, but it kind of makes for the fun of it. What else did I do wrong here? I'll think of something. I had a tendency to over-weld. Now right here, when I was tacking these in place, they were just held on with vice grips while I was doing it. I removed the vice grips and I thought, okay, now I'll weld all the way around. Well, really, I don't need to weld up here. But at the beginning I was doing stuff like that. This isn't going to come off. It'll bend all out of shape before it'll come off. Now you're probably wondering, what's the idea of these guides anyway? Well, the idea is that it's okay if I just lift straight up on this T-bar. But if I sort of pull a little bit crooked one way or the other, it's going to put a lot of lateral force on the bolt in the back. Now, I know I probably wouldn't break it off, but this sort of just helps to keep it straight. Now I've done much the same thing here at the back, and there's another one of these on the other side there. And as you can guess, it's just to keep the this piece here aligned up for the holes when it's going up and down, so that there's not too much chance of it going like this. At least that's the idea, and I think it's going to work out. You know, this thing reminds me of my grandfather's farm equipment on the old farm. Most of his stuff was made, just after the turn of the century, and I don't mean this century, I mean the one before. And everything was overbuilt. You know, one of the viewers made the comment that this is going to be the Sherman tank of chairs, and boy is he right. Now here's something else, and it's sort of connected to my grandfather. And that is these little BBs. You'd think you'd be able to just pick them off. But no, they've landed on this, well, probably not too hot metal, and I may as well say cold metal, and they stuck to it. And they stuck really hard. It makes me realize just how strong this weld is, you know, where the weld is mixed in with the metal, and then it's solidified. And here it didn't even mix, it just sort of landed on there. And well, what I'm going to do now is, to get it off, I'm using my grandfather's old chisel, and I have to sort of shear them off like that. Yeah, sorry, Grandpa. Well, I've got all the pieces cut up for the base and welded in place, and for the seat. Got all the sharp edges smoothed over, except for this right here, and that's where the arm is going to go for the back, which is the next part of this project, will be the back. Yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Nothing else I can show you here. Thanks for watching.